Cronkite Sports Live. So glad you found us. I'm Cuyler, he's Trey. And we just hope that now that you found us, you'll treat us like the sneakers Lil Bow Wow found and like Mike, and use us to become NBA superstars and eventually get adopted by a player for the Los Angeles Knights.
Intriguing plot.
But if that's too much commitment for you right off the bat, don't worry. We'll take things slow. Stick with us. We'll prove we're worth it. Let's get to the sports. Dallas, Pop and the gang are in Fullerton this weekend as ASU softball tests the waters away from Tempe for the first time this season, while I hope they have time to get to the original Fender Guitar Factory, still in operation in Fullerton, slinging axes for G&L. They have time now, already, to get a couple of wins under their belt against some fantastic teams, including number 5 Michigan and Texas earlier this morning, Trey. However, despite the wins, they've been struggling to score, struggling to get things done at the plate, generally failing to record runs, which they tell me is pretty important in softball. Here to break down the Sun Devils' recent struggles are Jason Chesler and Kerry Crowley. Guys, what's going on?
Thanks a lot, Cuyler. Now, Kerry, this ASU softball team, they're a lot like you in that, well, they're supposed to be a pretty big deal.
Oh, you're too kind.
Instead, we've seen a lot of struggles from this team recently, and it's odd because their top 2 starting pitchers, Mackenzie Popescu, Dallas Escobedo, of course, they're still performing well. What's going on?
Well, both Popescu and Escobedo have been sensational throughout the season. They're both still getting the job done. ERA is right around 1.00, but it's the offense. It's been a complete turnaround from the first 18 games of the season when the Sun Devils went 18-0. Arizona State just not hitting for power, not stealing bases, and not really even hitting for average at this point. No one able to get that clutch hit that the Sun Devils need to get, and it's hurting them a lot, Jason, right now. Only 7 games through the past 4 days or so, and they've lost 3 of them, and that's just not going to cut it for this ASU softball team. Something needs to change, and it needs to change right now.
Yeah, this ASU softball team expected to be, well, for a Sun Devil sports fan, the friend you can rely on. Instead, they're that friend who keeps saying rude things. No offense. So, Kerry, what's going on with this team? You've talked about the problems. What's causing all of this?
Well, right now the teams just don't have very much confidence, and that starts at the top of the lineup. Coach Craig Nicholson has tinkered with things, and stuff just isn't getting done from the first 4 hitters in the lineup. And that confidence comes from the first 4 hitters when they string things together. Haley Steele, you see her hitting a grand slam there in the bottom of the first inning with 3 runners on base. Haley Steele, again, the cleanup hitter, no one on base. She's still launching it over the fence. It's the top 4 hitters in Cheyenne Coyle, Alex Johnson, Haley Steele, Amber Freeman. Those are the players who need to get things done for this team. And unfortunately right now, things have changed, Jason. This team is lacking confidence because after that first loss they suffered last week to South Carolina, they were unable to come back fluid against Ball State and Minnesota. They dropped 2 of those games on Sunday, and that's really hurt this team from a fluidity standpoint in the lineup. Coach Craig Nicholson has tinkered with things just a bit. He's moved Cheyenne Coyle up from 1st to 5th in the lineup. She's even batted 3rd and 4th. Amber Freeman had to sit out a game, lost a bit of her consistency. Bailey Wigness sitting out in favor of Jennifer Soria in some games. Nikki Gerard also losing some playing time. So right now it's up to the veteran leadership of this team to get this team back on track and prove that they can hit anywhere in the lineup, because all these hitters are capable of hitting over 300. They just need to get comfortable. Someone's got to have that clutch gene and step up.
So, you know, Kerry, it's hard to predict those genes. I mean, that's not your job here. If I'm going to ask you to make a prediction, will they turn their season around? Can this team start hitting once again?
Well, Jason, the past 24 hours, this team has turned it around. They're out at the Judy Garment Invitational out in Fullerton, California, and they defeated the number 4 team in the country, Michigan, last night, 2-0. Dallas Escobedo basically took things upon herself with no offense. She had to, throwing 7 innings, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts. Unbelievable effort from her. And this morning, the Sun Devils played another top 15 in Texas, and the offense finally broke open. An 8-run explosion. That game just finished up, and now Escobedo's back in the circle facing Nebraska, the 3rd straight top 15 team that these Sun Devils will play. And like Dallas does, she struck out the first 6 batters of this game, so clearly not leaving it up to any offense for her. She's going to get it done on her own, but if the offense picks it up like they did for Mackenzie Popescu in that first game against Texas, this team will get back on track. They're going to be just fine.
So there you have it, the commentator's curse. We want to talk about this team struggling offensively. They have an offensive explosion. Now, Cuyler, Trey, hey, maybe you can talk about how me and Kerry are struggling so we can have a little explosion.
In today's action, ASU already beat Texas earlier on. Now they're playing Nebraska, and we'll give you a live update later on in the show. But for right now, ASU hockey back in the national tournament. This time, though, they are the 1 seed. Might just be the favorite to win it all this year. However, they've had trouble in the past, Cuyler. They've struggled to win in the big games down in the tournament, and that's been something that's kind of haunted this team.
Well, they're going to have to win if they want to win the championship.
That's great analysis there from Cuyler Meade. Just really getting down to the core
That's why they bring me here.
aspects of that. But you have to believe this team has what it takes. I mean, they have Cale Delinsky, they have Colin Heckel playing some of the best hockey of their career, and Danny McAuliffe as well. So if they can put it together, that'll be a big one. You can follow along with all ASU hockey tournament action at cronkitesports.com. They'll face 16 seed Rhode Island tonight at 8 p.m.
Listen, I would trust Captain Canada with my life.
With his life. I would not. However, ASU baseball making a few changes recently. We have our experts in studio to break it down for you. Dom Catronio and Jake Garcia are standing by. Guys?
Thanks, guys. ASU baseball finally looking like the team that everyone was expecting. They've won 4 games in a row. Big reason why? Pitching. Brett Lillick has been masterful. Ryan Kellogg, he's been eating his Frosted Flakes. And Ryan Burr, he's on to greener pastures, Dom.
It's all been great. A lot of Wheaties, a lot of cereal, but unfortunately Kellogg not sharing the same surname as the cereal family. But Kellogg, 16 innings pitched this season, 14 strikeouts. He's off to a good start. Don't pay attention to his ERA, though, because it's 4.55, too early in the season for it to really be in a factor. But look at Burr now. Burr leaving the Friday starter role and heading into the closer role again, as he announced on Monday. And the guy that's going to replace him, Brett Lillick, starting on Friday nights. It's going to be a lot of fun to see these guys back-to-back lefties on Friday and Saturday now. A power arm with Lillick, then finesse with Kellogg.
Was former St. Louis Cardinal great Bob Gibson once said, 2 most important things in life, good friends and a strong bullpen. I'm not sure about the first, but ASU definitely has a strong bullpen now.
Don't forget about Ever Bueno and Eric Melbestad, who have been on fire at the back end of the bullpen for
Exactly.
ASU.
Transitioning into this weekend, though, ASU is coming off a win over number 14 Oklahoma State. Their schedule doesn't get any easier. They'll be taking on an undefeated Tennessee school. But you're here to tell me why the Sun Devils will continue their recent success.
Look, the graphic's going to say 12-0. But here's the thing. That 12-0 is a little fluky because the toughest opponent they've played this year is UNLV. They've played Appalachian State. They just beat up on LaSalle. And also, they play Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac, they're known for hockey, Jake. Look, they're going to be riding Nick Williams, who's off to a great start, 3-0, one of the best in the SEC in batting average against. He's averaging .091 against him. That's unreal. But ASU's going to ride the bat of Brian Servin, a .476 average, as you can see there, and an OPS over 1,000. It's going to be between him and RJ Ibarra. See who gets the catcher spot or the DH spot. The offense is on fire for the Maroon and Gold. It's going to be a good series. Fireworks all over the place, and fireworks tonight after at Packard.
Well, ASU certainly a very well-rounded team, hitting just under 300 as a collective group. They have masterful lefties at the start of their rotation, and now don't mess with the hoot, Ryan Burr at the back end. And speaking of Ryan Burr, he made his announcement over Twitter that he was going to the bullpen. I know absolutely nothing about Twitter, as I've been told, but let's give it to a guy who knows a thing or two about Twitter, Brett Decker, live in the studio.
This is our social media segment, or as I like to call it, Brett reads some mildly entertaining tweets. Now, that's because it's really become more of a tweet of the week segment. But let it be known, we do investigate the MySpace and Friendster accounts of those in the Sun Devil family. Sadly, of the ones that we have found, those friend requests have gone unanswered. Side note, MySpace in the year 2014. Terribly awkward and desperate, I don't recommend. With that said, first tweet, we're bringing it in. It's Colin Heckel. A couple of days ago, right after his last practice in Oceanside here in Arizona, they're off to Delaware for Nationals. They begin tonight at 6, as mentioned earlier in the show. Trey and Cuyler, words of advice as these guys are working in these week?
You know, as long as they're not spending too much time on their defunct MySpace accounts, I think they'll be okay. I just feel like, honestly, Colin Heckel is the guy you saw in that inspiring picture right there.
It's true.
He's
walking
the guy.
away.
He's
Listen, I do actually have a piece of advice.
And
Brett.
Cuyler would trust him with his life.
Yes, the piece of advice, if you're in Delaware, visit a screen door factory.
There's nothing else to do in Delaware, so I'm all for that. Moving on. Our second tweet comes from Demarius Randall. Is Boozy free or nah? See, the thing is, we all had to look up who's Boozy.
I actually have an update on this.
Okay, go ahead.
I have an update
I was going to explain, but
Yep.
he's
on
go ahead,
Boozy.
Cuyler.
According to Wikipedia,
No, it's
Lil
not.
Boozy, who is a rap person, a person,
rap person.
He does the rapping. Lil Boozy, Torrance Jones? I don't know.
It's Torrance
Yeah, that's his name.
Torrance something or other. Lil Boozy, a rapping person,
His first name is Torrance.
has spent a great deal of time in prison recently,
And
no
he's out.
judgments, and he is now, according to Wikipedia, free.
Yes.
So, Demarius Randall, yeah.
The answer is yes. Thank you, Cuyler, for taking my job. Third
Sorry,
tweet
buddy.
of the week, and the last one. Jared Upchurch, I think he's confused. I guess I'm doing Vegas for spring break. Hashtag Pac-12, no vacation. You didn't know this
There's
was
a lot of
coming
things
up.
about this tweet.
What's great about this is, I guess, like, did he forget, like many of us, that he plays for the ASU basketball team?
I honestly, I forgot.
Maybe
You knew this was coming, Jared. This
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't. It's a thing. Sometimes I forget that I'm anchoring this show. Where am I? What am I doing? Nah, I guess not.
That's
But-
true.
All right. Well,
But, you know.
You know who forgets many things? Well, while we're on the topic of basketball, it's Kennedy Cuyler. He really has no idea where he is all the time, but he's hosting this segment with Cam Neely for men's basketball. Guys, Kennedy, do you even know why you're here right now?
I know. I don't know why I'm here either, all right?
Yeah, it's real strange. I'm both confused and enthused right now. You're usually over in the anchor studio with the WCSN higher-ups doing kingly work, shaking hands, kissing babies, moderating debates. But you're here today, and I'm happy to see you.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm here. It's because I'm a man of the people. And who else is a man of the people? Jahi Carson. If you look at their away record, ASU basketball, they're not doing too hot. But Jahi Carson is doing the exact opposite. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, it was really strange, Kennedy, coming out of the last game against Oregon. The takeaway was that Jahi Carson only plays well on the road, which really isn't the case. When you look at the stats going in, yeah, I suppose on the road, 40 against UNLV, 20 against U of A, where he's really the only person who played well. 24 at Stanford, 28 at Oregon the last time out. It looks as if he's only playing well on the road. But at home is where your role players really thrive, and that's what they have done recently coming out of that. So really, Jahi's playing well on the road because he doesn't have to do much at home because of the help he's getting. That's why they're 16-1.
Well, their season's winding down. They got one more game at Oregon State. They also got the Pac-12 championship coming up and the NCAA tournament coming up. Out of those three, Cam, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Well, Kennedy, I'm looking forward to the Pac-12 tournament, but I guess by result of the Oregon State game, which is the last game of the season, because the Pac-12, as Joey's going to show us on the graphic right now, is just so tight still going into the last game. You see U of A and UCLA have both locked up the 1 and 2 seed in the tournament. But if ASU beats Oregon State, they're in. They got the 3rd seed locked up. If they don't win, it gets kind of iffy because Colorado is going to be at Cal, and that game can go either way. Oregon could sneak up, but I do not believe that will happen, seeing as they're playing U of A. So I really think Arizona State, you win, you're in. Number 3 seed, you got it locked up. You got a bye going into the tournament.
Well, let's talk about basketball, Cam. Let's get me a little pump for Space Jam. Would you like to join me tonight for that?
No, thank you, Kennedy.
All right, well, it looks like my night will consist of Space Jam, Chef Boyardee, and a blanket for it. Maybe a lady. What's that? Nope, no lady? Okay, well, I'm going to add crying to that list. Back to you guys at the desk.
It was pro day today for Arizona State football. Players hoping to improve their draft status. And we brought Kerry Crowley, our good friend, to talk about how good those Sun Devils looked in shorts.
Oh, it was incredible, Trey. You know, the men's fashion show out there. It's like to see who can run in less clothing. And fortunately, Will Sutton did not win that battle today. Robert Nelson wearing the least amount of clothing.
Wow.
Let me before we start off with the football, who has the nicest legs of the Sun Devil football seniors?
Well, it depends on what you're into. I mean, Alden Darby
What are
is...
you into?
Well, I love people who look like track athletes, and Robert Nelson has that taken care of. Starting cornerback
That's why he
for
ranks number
Arizona
1.
State last year. You'll remember him from the Territorial Cup game 2 years ago, 66-yard interception return. Those legs were on fire.
I do remember him for that. All right, let's talk about football then. Let's start things off with the big kahuna, the big cereal eater, Will Sutton. How did he look? What's it going to be for him?
Well, Will Sutton has trimmed down, folks, and that's big news. He weighed in
Must
at
be cutting back on
303 at the Combine 2 weeks ago. Now at Pro Day, he's lost 6 pounds. He's down to 297. Everyone wants to know, what's his ideal playing weight? It's probably around the 290 that he played his junior season. He looked much better today, and he actually ran better, too. He ran about a 5.36 officially at the NFL Combine 2 weeks ago in Indianapolis. Today, running somewhere between 5.1, 5.2, a little closer to 5.2, but it definitely definitely helps his draft stock to make that improvement in a matter of 2 weeks and to show the scouts and evaluators that his weight is going down.
I know he put weight on before the senior season, seemingly intentionally, to improve his draft status. Clearly didn't really work out, so good that he's getting back to the trim Will Sutton
Absolutely.
that looks like it's going to work out with.
Well, and then there was, another player that actually made a turnaround positively in his senior year, and that's Marion Grice. Grice, baby. How did he look on the field, and what is his draft status looking like?
Well, Grice unfortunately did not participate today. He confirmed to the media afterward that he had a fractured tibia in his foot, and so he was unable to participate in the final few games of the Sun Devil season. Remember, that happened against UCLA, and that big Sun Devil win helped clinch the Pac-12 South title. Grice was out for a few games and did not participate, even though he received an invitation to the NFL Combine. People thought he might have a chance to run today. He was unable to do so, so he's still nursing that injury. That could push his draft stock. Folks were looking at him as a sleeper, second, third round candidate. If he doesn't perform before April, May, he's looking at maybe 5th, 6th, 7th round undrafted free agent status. But he did tell the media after practice today, I wasn't there, I was back here, but a few different people have reported via Twitter that he will have a pro day on April 8th. Okay. So run through similar drills and give talent evaluators a chance to look at him because Grice has a lot to offer NFL teams.
Yeah. What do you think, what's the absolute max after, because this is something that maybe even was kind of kept under wraps if this is just coming out now about the broken bone. They come out with it. He's going to have a pro day. Say he has a fantastic pro day. What's the highest that you think you could see Marion Grice getting drafted?
I don't see Grice going before the 3rd round because of this injury. And even if he has a great pro day, runs somewhere in between 4.45, and that's not the type of back that Marion Grice is, I still think he maybe tops out in the 4th round if he has an exceptional pro day. You're looking more like a 5th, 6th round otherwise.
All right, anybody else of note?
Well, Davon Coleman stood out to me, 35 reps on the bench press today. That carried the torch for every ASU player. Alden Darby had a great vertical jump. Carl Bradford ran another 4.7 in the 40-yard dash, basically proved himself over again that that's the type of speed he has, and he admitted afterward that a few teams have talked to him about playing fullback at the pro level, which is a position that he was recruited at out of high school, out of Norco High School in Southern California, and that's where he may end up shining in the future.
Very interesting. Well, Kerry Crowley, thank you so much for joining us, bringing us all the information. That's going to do it for our football coverage today. Thanks again to Kerry. Now it's time for even more Sun Devil basketball. This time, minus all those yucky Y chromosomes. Sun Devil women are in Seattle for the Pac-12 tournament. They'll be taking on USC in 2nd round action just moments after we finish up here. So if you're smart, you're going to want to dial up the Pac-12 network. Get ready for the switch once we're done. But before that, we've got a CSL newcomer in studio to break down this team's recent struggles and what they need to do to get back on track for the NCAAs. Gavin Shaw is in with Katie Burge.
Clang, clang, clangity clang. Katie, I just gave a hint to the adoring public. What's wrong with the Sun Devil women's basketball team that's lost 5 out of their last 7 games?
Well, I think those wonderful sound effects made it pretty obvious that the ball's hitting the rim and not going in the bucket. Simply put, the Sun Devils are not shooting where they need to be. They're shooting roughly 33%, which is not enough to win games. I don't know how many teams could win a game shooting 33%. In order to get back to their higher percentage, they're going to have to start forcing more turnovers. When they force turnovers, they're able to get the ball in transition and make easy buckets, which is what they're good at.
Well, Katie, you're a sports journalist. I'm a sports journalist. We live to assign blame. Is this a team problem, an individual problem? Who can I scapegoat, Katie?
Well, if I had to single one player out, I'd have to say guard Katie Hempen. I mean, she's just not shooting as efficiently as she should be. From the three-point line, she takes a lot of those, and it's only sinking about 30%. Yet, it is a team effort, and the whole team is underperforming. Right now, they're struggling. The teams or opponents are sagging off, not respecting their three-point game because it's simply not there.
Well, Katie, it's March, my favorite time of the year, and basketball fans' favorite time of the year. That means March Madness, and this women's basketball team is playing their first game of the Pac-12 tournament today, taking on the USC Trojans. Last time these two teams met, extremely competitive. ASU won 94-86 in overtime. Both teams desperate for a win. USC needs this win to solidify a NCAA tournament berth. ASU, they haven't been unranked since December. They find themselves in that position now. They want to go into the tournament with some momentum. Who gets the win?
Well, I mean, as you're hinting at, the teams are going to fight desperately. It's going to be a tough matchup. Both teams playing their hearts out, and it's a tournament game. I mean, the game could go either way, but with the way the Sun Devils have been playing, I might lean toward a loss.
So, Katie, we've learned 2 things in this segment. Katie Burge is better at her job than Katie Hempin is at hers. And ASU might win today, but they're going to struggle to beat their probable opponent, the 3rd-ranked Stanford Cardinal, tomorrow and Saturday.
But it is tournament time. Don't count them out yet, Gavin. Anything can happen.
2 words, Katie. Shanae Agumake. Back to you, Brett.
Greetings. This is the debate segment. Why I'm going to toss some questions out. Trey and Cuyler are going to toss some answers back. There'll be points involved. At the end, I'll pick a winner for whatever reason
This is the
I feel
most
appropriate.
important moment of my week, actually.
That's sad. Okay. The first question: who would win in a street fight? A taco or a grilled cheese? No.
This is an obvious question.
We can't do that.
I'm with the hot
It has to be. It has to be ASU
That
sports.
wasn't an
I mean,
Okay, hold on, guys. Let me. Okay. All right, fine. First one. How will men's basketball fare in the NCAA tournament? Go ahead, whoever wants to go.
I'm going to say they're not going to win a game. Listen, they might get a bye into that second round, but that's about as far as they're going to go. Sun Devil basketball always lets you down. You build up your hopes, you get so excited, and you love them, and then they break your heart in half. Because that's what they love doing. That's what they're known for. Herb Sendek plans to break people's hearts around the world. That's what he does.
I don't think there's any evidence of that. However,
what he does.
if we're talking about the Pac-12 tournament, I think they can win a pair of games depending on who they've matched up with. They've beaten almost
in
every
agreement.
team in the Pac-12 at least once. If we're talking about the NCAA tournament, which was not made clear to me, but that's okay. If we're talking about that, I think they can win one game. Totally depends on the matchup, and it totally depends on which team shows up to play.
All right. Well, I didn't hear what Trey said, but Cuyler, you kind of called me out on not pinpointing what tournament. So the points go to Trey. I'm sure he had something wonderful to say,
Your
as
week's
he
about to be
always
ruined.
does. Number 2.
Okay, comeback coming right here.
During the break, ASU lacrosse takes on the 2 top teams in the country. How will they fare? Cuyler, you go.
Usually, Trey Lanthier is my lacrosse analyst, my personal lacrosse analyst, actually. However, in my experience, there's never any reason to bet against ASU lacrosse, so I decline to do so. I think they'll win both games.
Both games. Listen, they're playing the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country. They're not going to win both games. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. On the road, impossible. However, they can beat Colorado State. They're weak. They're vulnerable. They're ready to be taken down. Colorado, not so optimistic. I think ASU splits.
Pessimism is for sad.
Hey, I'm the expert here. You just called me the expert, so I know what I'm talking about.
The points have to go to Trey here. He is the expert. He knows what he's talking about.
For 2,
All right,
baby.
all right. This
This could be a big comeback win for Cuyler on this last question. I know he's got this one ready. Was it the right would it be the right decision to move Ryan Burr, ASU starting pitcher, back to the bullpen?
It was the right decision. Listen, Ryan Burr does something incredibly well. He's an incredibly successful closer. He's good at it.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He's successful. It was the right call.
That's
On the
like
other
me.
hand, Lilik is playing well, and I'm just going to say, just let the guy that does something well do what he does well.
That's really insightful. And you know what, Cuyler? I'm going to agree with you. It's impossible, but it's happening. I think that in a situation,
history, America.
Burr is an excellent closer. He was pitching for USA Baseball over the summer. He's a great pitcher, especially in that closing role. And I think that what you really have to look at is the fact that if you plug him in there, he's going to get the job done. Why not? Why not, Esme? I agree. It's a great decision.
Yep.
This was adorable. You guys both agreed. I'm going to give you guys each the victory. I'd hug you both.
It's the
but that
victory.
would
I
mess
don't
up.
want to share a victory. I don't want
Teamwork.
to share this. That's not
Teamwork.
what I wanted.
Friendship.
After coming
Learn
back
it.
from
I don't
down
care
many
about your
points.
friendship is what it's coming down to.
This is upsetting.
That's upsetting. Thank you, guys.
So,
All right,
yeah,
thanks, Brett.
Yeah, thank you for
Well
giving us
moderated.
both. Yeah. And now it's time for our weekly awards. Who needs the Oscars when you've got Cronkite Sports Live's weekly awards?
Let me stop you right there. Nobody needs the Oscars.
There you have it. Coach of the Week wasn't easy because there were certainly a lot of candidates for the not-so-Coach of the Week. And listen, that might be an award in the future. It's not right now, but that's a potential thing.
It was a rough week for ASU.
Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Sports.
However, you cannot overlook Coach Malone and this ASU lacrosse team. The fact that they were able to go into Chapman, bitter rival Chapman, and come up with a victory against the number 8 team in the country. Like, just look at this number. The Panthers were 46-4 in their last 50 home games before Sunday. If that's not protecting home territory, Cuyler, I don't know what is. Listen, Chapman wins at home. It's a simple fact of life. But ASU went into the most daunting stadium in the entire MCLA and came out with what? a victory, which I should have had in the debate.
Look how striking he looked in that profile. Plus, he's about to win back-to-back games against
Coach
the number 1
Malone
and 2 team in the
absolutely
country.
deserved. Absolutely deserved.
All right, now on to Player of the Week. Listen, when a Sun Devil athlete writes her own name down in the history books, it's a pretty good
Did
bet
she
she's
literally
gonna
write her own name down? Is that a
yeah,
fact?
there's a
Have
whole
we confirmed
ceremony.
this?
Yeah, please. It's a pretty good bet that she's going to find her way into winning this award, and deservedly so. Dallas Escobedo, tough weekend, got hit with the first 2 losses of the Sun Devil season, though she pitched well even in those games, but then she did this. 13 strikeouts, 7 innings, and 0 hits against the Longwood Lancers, a pretty darn good team in the early homestand finale. It is her 2nd career no-hitter. She followed it up with a 1-hitter against a very good top 5 Michigan team, and she's been doing everything but score the runs herself.
That is pretty good back-to-back.
Yep.
Pretty good back-to-back.
1 hit, 2 games. Dallas Escobedo, a very deserving Cronkite Sports Live Player of the Week.
So, looking at softball still, our top plays, they're all softball. That's just the way it's got to be, right?
Nothing
so
but the
let's
soft.
pull them out and look what we've got here for the top 3 plays. First up, Nikki Gerard in the field for this one, although you might be seeing her again later. Spoiler alert. Making a nice diving play to get out of the 7th inning in a jam. Sun Devils did not come away with a win, but you have to give an A+ for effort from Nikki Gerard.
And honestly, she had played fantastic ball. This is against Ball State Sunday night. She played so well at second base, ended up coming up with bases loaded and got the last out, so that was a bummer. However, number 2, more softball. It's the one, it's the only Dallas Escobedo. 13 strikeouts in her no-hitter against Longwood.
This counter's going to be running all day, Cuyler.
Yes.
We could just chat about life. We could talk about,
How is life?
It's pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty happy anchoring the show.
Are you eating your vegetables?
No. I ate a Subway sandwich, so I've been eating my yoga mats.
That's a terrible
if that has
decision.
been what you asked me.
Subway, eat fresh.
We're
Oh,
still
hang on.
going.
Still got a few
Still
strikeouts
going.
to go.
Oh, we should have kept our conversation going
My
longer.
goodness. She was unbelievably dominant. She needed this, however, to get out of it.
And this capped off her no-hitter. She needed this to end her no-hitter. And you know what? You might hear a familiar voice on this call. Our very own Cuyler Meade bringing this one home.
Very close in the bottom of the 7th. Gerard had a chance, and this one at play at the plate. Not in time! Sun Devils win! Sun Devils win! And a no-hitter for Dallas Escobedo on the back end of it. Can you believe it?
Nikki Gerard batting in. Bethany Kemp on the walk-off RBI ground out.
Doesn't get any prettier than that.
No, and she had played so well in the Sunday night game. Couldn't end the game for the Sun Devils. Really, you feel good for her. You feel good for the team. Just a fantastic game all around. So, that's it.
That's all we got.
That's all there is.
I hate goodbyes, Cuyler.
There's nothing else.
I really do.
Well, I'll still be here. The cameras are going to be off. America will be gone. But you and I will still be together.
I don't care about you. I only care about them. These are the people who make my life a better place to live.
This is an upsetting way to end this show. However, it's what we're going to do. That's all the sports we've got. Tons of ASU sports going on this weekend. Enjoy the games, folks. Take care of yourselves. Good day.